when you wish to ask a supplementary question. The first question has been asked by the Honorable MCC Pilane Majake. The Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the fundamental tenet of our country's foreign policy is to contribute to building a better Africa that is strong and growing economically, that is stable, and which is at peace with itself. We are committed to a global political and economic order that is fair, equitable, and interdependent. Since the advent of democracy in 1994, we have worked tirelessly with our sister countries to bring about peace, stability, democracy, and development in the African continent. We have been involved in every major initiative to bring about peace, stability, and economic development in the continent. Economic diplomacy is an important instrument that we use to pursue our foreign policy goal of building a better Africa in a better world. Critical to our economic diplomatic efforts has been strengthening of bilateral relations with most countries in the African continent. In our recent state visit to Nigeria, for instance, we elevated the binational commission between the two countries to the heads of state level. Nigeria is just a latest of countries in the continent in which bilateral relations are at their highest level. These economic diplomatic efforts have borne results. Intercontinental trade has been increasing over the past 2 decades. A large number of South African companies are active in many countries of the African continent. More African countries are conducting trade with one another. Honorable Speaker, we are taking additional steps that will ensure that there is closer economic integration and development in the African continent. These steps include the building of infrastructure in the continent to facilitate movement of people and goods between countries. In this regard, the African Union appointed me to champion a continent-wide initiative of building infrastructure in the continent. We have taken these important steps towards closer economic integration because African markets are small by global standards, which necessitate the need to build larger markets. Regional integration is therefore not only a political vision, but also makes business sense. Creating larger markets with greater critical mass of people will not only enhance the African investment proportion, it is also the only way Africa will effectively compete in the global economy. For South Africa, SADC and SACU are important vehicles to drive regional economic integration. But our focus now is broadening integration beyond existing regional economic communities in accordance with the African Union's Vision 2063. The key building blocks to this are processes leading to the tripartite free trade area and the envisaged continental free trade area. South Africa's future remains inextricably linked to the future of its neighbors in the region, as well as that of the entire continent of Africa. The growth of our economy, the creation of jobs for our people, and our prosperity hinge on the success of these efforts to build a peaceful, stable, and prosperous continent. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Pilane Machake.
Thank you for the response, Mongameli Ohloniphekayo. And let me take the opportunity of congratulating you for being appointed by the AU for championing infrastructure development in Africa. May I also take the opportunity to follow up to my question by saying, what was the outcome of your recent visit to the Republic of Nigeria as part of South Africa's economic diplomacy to further trade and strengthen economic, political, and security cooperation that will reinforce peace and stability in Africa?
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The outcome of our visit to Nigeria was good and very successful. We had a number of meetings with government and discussed our relations. That's why I indicated that we agreed to elevate the level of the BNC, the Binational Commission, from the level of the deputy presidents to the level of presidents, so that the structured relationship between the two countries and a number of agreements that we have been signing over the period should be monitored at a level of the presidents. We also discussed a number of economic interactions that we need to do between the two countries at all levels: agriculture, mining, as well as the military kind of interaction that we will have with Nigeria. We also had an opportunity to address the joint houses of parliament, which was quite an indication of the acceptance of the relationship by all political parties of Nigeria. We also had an opportunity to meet some individual business people, as well as had an opportunity to address the Nigeria-South Africa Business Council, which was meeting alongside the visit. Again, a very successful meeting. We got a report of what has been happening between the two sides. Clearly, what has been happening, there are more companies from South Africa that are investing in Nigeria than the Nigerians. The council promised to bring balance to that because it is important that the experience which they acknowledge South Africa has, they need as well to further develop their economy. So the visit was a success. I ended up by inviting the Nigerian president to visit South Africa.
I take it the President has finished the answer to the supplementary question?
Yes, sorry, I should have indicated.
Yes, I call upon Honorable Kado from the DA for a supplementary question.
Honourable President, after your recent diplomatic attempts to bring peace and stability to Central Africa, you were left stranded in Burundi owing to a minor fuel leak in your perfectly serviceable VIP aircraft in Kwazi. Now, a reliable aircraft in good running order is a necessary tool of intercontinental economic diplomacy. But bearing in mind your undertaking in the State of the Nation address, and I quote, to spend public funds wisely and to cut wasteful expenditure, close quote, will you, Honourable President, put a stop to the procurement of a new VIP jet for your use at an estimated cost of 4 billion rand? And are you able to assure this House that no company associated with the Guptas has been involved in the procurement process thus far?
Honourable Deputy Speaker, on a point of order.
Honourable Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Honourable Speaker, I'm sorry. That is a new question. It's not a supplementary question to this one. I thank you.
The honourable member knows that you are not supposed to ask a completely new question. You are not supposed to ask a completely new question. You must ask a supplementary question based on both the original question and the answer of the President. However, the President, I recognize the President.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Firstly, I'm not responsible to buy aircraft. That's not my task. There is a task of very specific departments whose job is to ensure that the aircrafts that are used by both the President and Deputy President should be in good condition. If they realize that the aircraft is old, it gets into problems from time to time. I think it is their decision what to do, whether to maintain that so that you remain somewhere you are not able to execute your duties, or they buy a new one. It's their decision if they think that is necessary. It's a decision that is taken with a number of considerations that they make. I'm not party to buying an aircraft. It's a government specifically designated departments to do so. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Kekana, ANC. Upu Kekana. Kekana, who would have pressed the talk button. If we don't have Honourable Kekana, may I call on the DA member, Honourable Kasim. Hey, people disappear after pressing. Okay. Can we now move on to question number 2? Honourable Kalyan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. President, you seem to focus only on Nigeria in your answer. I would like to ask you, with regard to the Great Inga Dam, which would be a passage through the whole of Africa and also provide an excellent energy source. Why are you dragging your heels on developing this project? And if it is a matter of funding, will the new development bank be consulted with regard to assist with funding, because that will contribute, once that dam is built, will contribute to hydroelectricity, which is cheaper and accessible. Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, indeed, everybody in Africa and in the world agree that the Inga Dam will be the final solution in Africa with regard to energy. The Inga Dam is in Congo, and therefore it is the Congo government that has the final word, the DRC, for information. However, we are working together with the DRC, South Africa and DRC, as well as Angola. We've been discussing that issue, and the arrangements are going on. There is an interaction between the ministries who are discussing it, as well as talking about how it is going to go forward. There are activities that are taking place. I was in the DRC last year on a visit. We had a long discussion with the president about how we are going to go forward. Initially, the project was away from the president. He felt because it is not moving quick, he must take it to his office so that it could move quicker. And very recently, the Minister of Energy had gone to Congo. The Deputy Minister of Energy has been going to the DRC to discuss this matter. There are reports that there is progress that is being made. I can't tell you at what point those particular details are, but we are working together, but we depend on the host country, which must, in the final analysis, be the one that drives it on the spot. But we are party to that process, because that project is absolutely very important, not just for the few countries, but for the entire continent. Thank you.
The Honorable Nkomo.
Please pardon me, Madam. It was a wrong indication. Thanks.
Oh, all right. Honorable members, you must be in control of your fingers. We now come to question number 2 from the Leader of the Opposition to the Honorable the President.
Honorable Speaker, the appointment and removal of cabinet members are dealt with in terms of section 91(2) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, 1996. Section 91(2) of the Constitution provides that, and I quote, "The President appoints the Deputy President and ministers, assigns their power and functions, and may dismiss them," unquote. Section 93(1) of the Constitution states that, and I quote again, "The President may appoint any number of deputy ministers from among the members of the National Assembly to assist the members of the Cabinet, and may dismiss them," unquote. The Constitution does not require me to consult anyone before I appoint or remove a minister or a deputy minister. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Mr. President, Deputy Minister Mcebisi Jonas has already confirmed that the Guptas offered him the position of Finance Minister before it was even offered to Minister Des van Rooyen. In fact, your former caucus chairperson, Faiki Mentor, has already been on record, the woman you claim you don't know, has already been on record saying, in fact, that she was also offered a cabinet position by the Guptas. Mr. President, it has become quite clear that power does no longer sit at the union buildings. In fact, worse, it does not even sit at Luthuli House. It now sits at Saxonworth. And so, Mr. President, you and your family are getting richer while South Africans are getting poorer and losing work. So my question to you, Mr. President, whether the Gupta family has ever offered anybody a cabinet position in your term of office as president, or is Minister Jonas in fact lying? Because if in fact he is, or he's not, is the president willing to take accountability for the decision and resign in front of the people of South Africa?
The Honorable, the President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members are going to listen to the answer.
Honorable Speaker, I appointed Jonas as a deputy minister. That's what I offered Jonas. I never offered Jonas ministry. That's why he's a deputy minister. If Jonas says he was offered by the Guptas, I think you'll be well placed to ask the Guptas or Jonas. Don't ask me. Where do I come in? I had no business with that. I had absolutely no business. Ask the people who are said by Jonas offered him. Those are the people who must ask, my good honorable member. Don't ask me. I am in charge of the government. I'm in charge. I appoint in terms of the constitution. There is no minister who is here who was ever appointed by the Guptas or by anybody else. Ministers who are here were appointed by me.
Order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Olomisa. Order, honorable members.
Madam Speaker,
Yes, Honorable Olomisa.
Honorable President, sicela nje mhlekazi ukucacise nje uyiclearishe kahle lento abantu bakuve kahle yokuthi one of your ministers xa esithi waye offerishiwe injongo zoba ke uyiclearishe uzayiphanda kanjani to verify the authenticity or otherwise of this allegation ezanayo umcebisi sicacisele nje uzayiphelisa kanjani ebantwini uyicacise nje kahle silwanga nawe.
Honorable the President.
Njengoba senishilo mhlekazi umphathiswa olisekela uJonas uthi waxelelwa ngamaGuptas kubuza uminister actually bampha esikhundla. Ndithi ke ithethwa nguJonas lonto akazange athi upresident waye khona lapho noma wenza into ukhomba abantu. Ndithi ke buzani laba bantu abamnikeza ukuba belithatha phi igunya lokubeka uminister. Ingakho ngithi akekho noyedwa uminister owake wabekwa ngomunye umuntu akekho ayifune nokuba ndiyiphande loo nto andingeni indawo apho mhlekazi ndiyabulela.
The Honorable Nkomo, I hope this time the finger
Yes.
went there directed.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Definitely my fingers are at the correct place. Honorable President, what a tangled web has been woven. The ill-conceived decision to redeploy, or some might even say to oust the previous and very capable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Nene, and replace him with Mr. David Van Rooyen as Minister of Finance at a cost to South Africa's economy of as much as 500 billion rands, has struck a critical blow to the South African economy, which may culminate in us being downgraded to junk status by rating agency Moody's in the next couple of days. Honorable President, during your last question session before this House, I had asked you a question which you simply dismissed by advising that you were not a Sangoma. I hope today that you will be an ordained pastor, that you are, and come clean on this matter before the House. Honorable President, were you influenced in any way by any third party to remove Minister Nene from his post as Minister of Finance? Thank you.
The President.
Honorable Speaker, I just want to rise on a point of order.
What's the point of order,
Honorable Speaker, the point of order is that the Honorable President is here to answer questions in this House. I do not think that other members in the House here should try and answer on his behalf. The Honorable President is very capable of answering himself.
Honorable Singh, I prevail on you, please not to rise and go ahead and raise whatever point you want to raise. Please raise your hand and let's recognize you first before you rise. The President.
Thank you very much, Deputy. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I have acted in terms of appointing ministers. I have acted many times in changing ministers. I've also acted to remove ministers at different times. There are always reasons that lead to, if for an example, a minister is to be shifted or redeployed, there are reasons that lead to that. There is no action in terms of removal and replacing or appointing ministers that comes without reasons why that is done. There were reasons why Minister Nene had to be redeployed. Those reasons are the reasons of government, and once Nene was removed, you needed to replace that, and that's what I did. And this arises out of what government is doing and what the thinking and decisions of governments are. If there can be any influence in how government does things, it can only be the ruling party, which would not necessarily come to tell you do this and this. That is the only area where you could be influenced, because the ruling party wants to ensure that its programs are implemented. The processes, the necessary processes were undertaken within the Constitution, within the law. The fact that the Rand was in trouble before Nene left, the Rand was on the down slope. And secondly, it is not the first time that the markets react when a minister is either put or taken away. There is a history to that. There's nothing strange about it. The markets have their own temperament. on any other issue. So there was a decision taken, very well considered, why we're taking Nene and where we're sending him to.
Point of order.
Honorable, Honorable
No, this is
Maimane.
absolutely important.
Honorable Maimane, the president is still on his feet.
Yes, I waited.
Honorable Maimane,
I'll wait.
please finish off, Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm through.
What is your point, Honorable Maimane?
It's a crucial point, Madam Speaker.
What is the point?
The point of order is this. The president has come here to tell South Africans that the rand was already in decline, which is not true. The fact of the matter is...
Honorable Maimane,
No.
Honorable Maimane,
The president
if you have an
destroyed our
argument
economy.
to make,
South
this is
Africans
not
need
the
to
way
know.
to do it, Honorable
But South
Maimane.
Africans need to know.
Please take
Order,
a seat,
Speaker.
Honorable Maimane.
Order, Speaker.
Take a seat,
Order,
Honorable
Speaker.
Maimane.
Order, Speaker.
Honorable Maimane,
Order,
take your
Speaker.
seat.
He's not answering.
Honorable Maimane, if you don't take your seat, I will have to ask you to go.
But Speaker, I'm asking nicely.
Honorable
He's not
Maimane.
answering the question. He's not answering.
Honorable Maimane, I will really have to ask you to leave the chamber because you refuse to cooperate.
He's not answering the question.
Honorable Maimane, please leave the house. Please leave.
Awunangqondo, Speaker wena.
Order,
Lisela,
honorable
Zuma,
members,
Lisela.
order. Allow the honorable members who are leaving to leave, and let's proceed with the question session.
You protecting the Guptas.
Appointed by the Guptas, all of you.
Honorable members, please go in an orderly fashion. We would like to proceed with the question session.
You protecting the Guptas. You protecting the Guptas.
Hlala phansi manje. Wasiphakamisa isandla uhleli phansi. Honorable Mandela, is that a point of order?
Yes, Honorable Speaker. My apologies to disturb the President, but for the record, Honorable Banga, as he left the House, he said, Honorable Speaker, awunangqondo. I would like the Hansard studied so that the necessary course could be taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mandela. We'll follow that up. I now have the fourth supplementary question from the Honorable Sheikh Imam of the NFP.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. President, Honorable Nene was a very influential, capable minister who performed exceptionally well under difficult circumstances. Now, Mr. President, Honorable Nene enjoyed the confidence of many, including opposition parties, many economists and political analysts as well. What, Mr. President, prompted or motivated you to remove Minister Nene, such a capable person, and appoint Minister van Rooyen and then remove Minister van Rooyen? I do understand, Mr. President, that it is your prerogative to do that. But a capable minister like Minister Nene, who was performing well under difficult circumstances, I just want the rationale behind it. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Firstly, I would like to remind the Honorable Member that it is not absolutely true that he was supported even by the opposition. The opposition, if you look at how they scored him, because they love scoring, they scored him very low. And they also attacked him, and in fact, at some point, they asked me to remove him. You have forgotten. So you can't say he was powerful, supported by everybody, including the opposition. That can't be a correct statement. Secondly, precisely because of what you're saying, that is capable. I wanted him to go to a position that needs the most capable, recognized internationally. That's precisely the reason. I thought he should contribute not just to the country, to the continent, to the globe.
I believe the President has finished. Honorable President,
I'm through.
forgets me.
Sorry. I'm forgetting. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks, Honorable President. Question number 3, which had been asked by Honorable Malema, has been withdrawn. Honorable Mulder.
Honorable Speaker, may I address you on a point of order?
Yes, Honorable Mulder.
Honorable Speaker, on the 16th of February, during the State of the Nation address, the Honorable Malema concluded his speech and he said the following, and I quote, he said, "I can't sit here to debate," and then he addressed himself to the Honorable President and he says, "You are not a legitimate president." The next day at the Chief Whip's Forum, I took that matter to the Chief Whip's Forum and I argued and I said, I warned that on the 17th of March, we will have a questions to the President's session, and that it cannot be in order for a party that says they do not recognize the President to have an opportunity to ask a question in the House. Despite my warning, the EFF was allowed to put a question on the question paper for today. Yesterday, the EFF remembered that they do not recognize the President. And they issued a statement to say they're not going to participate today, and that's why they wrote a letter to withdraw their question. The point I'm making, Honourable Speaker, is that what they did is absolutely unfair to other parties in the House who have been denied the right to ask a question because they've been playing little games. So I'm asking, Honourable Speaker, that this matter be referred to the Rules Committee, that if a party does not recognise, they should not be allowed to participate and take away the right of other parties to participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mulder. That issue will be followed up and we'll make sure that at its next opportunity, the Rules Committee deals with it. I now come to question number 4, which has been asked by the Honorable Gwabaza. And I call upon the Honorable the President.
Gwabaza. Gwabaza. I'm looking for Gwabaza, Chair, because the changing of the my number 4 at the moment, I'm not sure whether I'm telling the truth, is LL van der Merwe of the IFP.
No, that's number 5.
That's number 5.
Okay. So number 4 is an ANC Honorable Member Gwabaza.
I must have changed my papers because of the withdrawal of the question. and thank you very much, because I had to reshuffle the questions. Yes, here is Gwabaza, because of the withdrawal of another question. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I stated in the State of the Nation address in February this year, economic transformation and black empowerment are critical components of government's economic programs. The purpose of the black industrialist policy is to expand the industrial base through the targeted participation of black entrepreneurs in manufacturing and other industrial sectors. We are pleased that the private sector has responded warmly to this initiative. Government has already taken practical steps to implement the Black Industrialist program. Financial support to the tune of 30 billion rand has been pledged by the development finance institutions to provide funding to black entrepreneurs who will participate in the Black Industrialist program. For a company or business to participate and receive support from the program, more than 50% of that company must be owned, managed, and controlled by black people. Black businesses that seek support should operate in the manufacturing sectors of the economy, create jobs, and increase the localization of production activities. Moreover, the manufacturing projects should have a minimum value of at least 30 million rand to qualify for support. The following manufacturing sectors, among others, have been prioritized for support from the program. The ocean economy, including shipbuilding and repair, mineral beneficiation, agro-processing, information communication technologies, clothing, textiles, leather and footwear, pulp, paper and furniture, industrial infrastructure, clean technology and energy, aerospace, rail, and automotive components, as well as oil and gas, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and plastics. Government will also provide non-financial support such as training, matchmaking, and information sharing, research and innovation support, quality standards, and productivity support, and economic infrastructure such as special economic zones, industrial parks, and clusters. Other forms of support will include facilitating access to contracts and markets. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Gwabaza.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your answer. May I ask, Honorable President, to what extent are the established traditional industrialists ready to accept their black counterparts as equal partners in the economies of scale? And equally, is it not as well important at a base or ground level for economic growth, for peace and stability in our country, and for decisively and urgently addressing unemployment, poverty, and inequality, that the disposed African majority be brought into the mainstream of the economy? Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, I can't have the number of established industrialists who are ready to be part of the process, but I think the approach has been accepted generally. I wouldn't have the details right now, but with regards to the issue of addressing the question of unemployment, One of the reasons that we are saying we must establish the black industrialists is partly to grow the economy, to be able to serve the population that you have, because historically, the control of the economy was controlled by a minority. So we are trying to correct that historical problem, because that is part of the reason why unemployment is so much, because it was restricted by the structure of the economy, which was racially based. We are opening it. That's why we are saying the majority of the people of this country must participate fully in every level of the economy. That will therefore address the issue, firstly, of the small businesses that must come in big numbers, but also the big ones to deal with unemployment. But also we are dealing with the skilling of the people, because the history of our economy, the majority were not skilled. So there are those challenges that actually add to the burden of unemployment. Those are the matters the government is tackling and addressing to resolve. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Hlengwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. One of the key areas is the definition of black. When you have a situation where even now Chinese can be classified as black in terms of the Gauteng High Court 2014, then who benefits? To what extent can we then satisfy ourselves that these programs respond to those that were directly affected by the atrocities of apartheid? Because it would go to the extent to say, if the definition of black in this regard incorporates the Chinese, they are bound to have two bites at the cherry when we even now have the BRICS bilaterals. So, Mr. President, we want to find out clearly who's who in the zoo and who qualifies, because the blanket definition of black industrialists is vague and will rob the intended recipients of these programs of what is due to them. Thank you very much.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thought the definition of the blacks in South Africa is very clear and simple. We have never talked of the Chinese. We talked of, if we talk about blacks, the colored brothers and sisters and Indians, and that's why in the definition at times we say blacks in general and African in particular. The Chinese have never been a problem. We are talking about South Africans who are here, who have been understood, who have been disenfranchised, who have been disadvantaged. That's how we define the black, and those are the ones we say they must benefit. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Groenewald.
Achtbare Speaker, die achtbare president het nou so pas gesê, I'll give you a fair chance, Honorable President.
Yes. Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right, thank you. Achtbare Speaker, the achtbare president, I will talk slowly so that they can interpret it correctly, Honorable President. Die achtbare president het so pas gesê, hulle wil die groot beleggers hê in Suid-Afrika, sodat hulle kan werk skep. Ek stem saam met die achtbare president. Maar my vraag aan die achtbare president, achtbare speaker is, hoe kan die achtbare president verwag dat groot beleggers na Suid-Afrika toe kom, as die grootste struikelblok, of een van die groot struikelblokke, juist die probleem is, wat bestaan tussen die minister van Finansies en die hoof van die inkomstedienste nie. Die achtbare president is die persoon wat kan ingryp. Hoekom gryp hy nie in nie? Dankie, achtbare speaker.
Achtbare President.
Well, Honorable Speaker, I know members of Parliament at times, they have to ask questions. If only the question was put the other way around. Has the President intervened? Because if he's saying, why is the president not intervening? Has the president not intervened? Does he know that? He doesn't. Should have asked the question differently. I am intervening on that question. I'm dealing with it at the presidential level. I have met both the minister and I've met the commissioner addressing the issue. So it is being attended to by the president and the necessary structures. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We now come to question number 5, asked by the Honorable Van der Merwe to the Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. 1, yes, the illegal deductions from the accounts of South African Social Security Agency, Sassa, grant beneficiaries are on the increase. In response to this increase, the Minister of Social Development established a ministerial task team on deductions comprising representatives of civil society officials from the Department of Social Development and Sassa to address the matter of deductions in general and to assist the social grants beneficiaries to report whenever there have been deductions from their accounts and to assist them find recourse. As a result, social grant beneficiaries do not have to seek recourse alone. They have the ministerial task team to help them. The ministerial task team on deductions has made much progress in a short period of time since it was established. Over 13,000 cases of deductions have been reported to it. It has assisted in the resolution of 10,500 of those cases and is busy addressing the approximately 2,000 cases that are outstanding. Other achievements include the development and implementation of the recourse mechanism, the publishing of the amendment regulations in February 2016 for public comment, and the amendments to the Social Assistance Act, which will be going to Cabinet in April 2016 and Parliament thereafter. Other achievements include the support received from civil society in 2 major court cases with the insurance industry, with a 3rd pending, and the tireless effort of committee members and their organizations to support grant beneficiaries on the ground to find recourse. Establishing a new commission may therefore be a step backward because the ministerial task team is already addressing these issues adequately. 2, the terms of reference of the ministerial task team focus on and include the scope and scale of the deductions from the accounts of grant beneficiaries and to identify the responsible parties to be held accountable for the illegal Sassa grant beneficiaries. I will also be promulgating establishment of the Inspectorate for Social Assistance as provided for in Section 24 of the Social Assistance Act number 13 of 2004. The inspectorate will be responsible for investigating and acting against illegal and fraudulent activity in the social assistance system as a whole. The work of the inspectorate will support what the ministerial task team is already doing, which is focused on the issue of deductions, while the inspectorate will address broader issues of fraud and corruption. 3, the Portfolio Committee on Social Development welcomed to engage with the task team and to request regular progress reports from them through the Minister of Social Development. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable van der Merwe.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you very much, Honourable President. I value the information you've given, and in fact, we have, as a Portfolio Committee, engaged with the task team before. But the reason why I've asked for a commission of inquiry is, with respect, Honourable President, the task team has not yielded results, and the crisis is still there today. Today, we've got a group of vulnerable citizens in the gallery. They are the very faces of people who are affected every month by illegal deductions from fraudsters, from syndicates, who take illegal deductions from their accounts, and it leaves them without any food to put on the table. They, in fact, believe that the only option open to them is to approach the Constitutional Court for relief. Honourable President, they've sought answers for many, many years, and in fact, it's also now come to light that the very company that got the government tender to pay out the grants on behalf of government is actually involved in the scam. So, Honourable President, can you give those citizens the undertaking today that government will do everything in its power to ensure that as from 1 April 2016, no more illegal deductions are taken from their grants? Can you give them a time frame within which refunds could be processed, Honourable President? And finally, with the local government elections coming up, can we also get to the assurance that no ANC officials will go on the ground offering grants in turn for votes? Thank you, President.
Honourable the President.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, firstly, as I said in the answer, we have the task team that has been established, which has made progress, as I've reported. It has handled cases, I gave the number, and I also gave the number of the outstanding cases. So there is work being done. Now, I don't know how often the Portfolio Committee meets with the task team so that it can get a progress report. It looks like you have just seen them some time ago. I think it would be wise to meet them, to hear how far is it going. Because what I'm saying is the report that I have on this matter, assisted also by the establishment of the inspectorate to address the issue. That's why I'm saying I don't see right now, given the reports before me, why we should form the commission. Perhaps a bit of interaction between ourselves as the Portfolio Committee and the task committee, or the task team rather, you might actually arrive at some understanding so that we don't just pile structure over the structure. When we don't have all the information, perhaps there may be a problem. But then we must satisfy ourselves, having talked, we who are concerned with this matter, that in fact, indeed, there is a need. What I've done here is to say, as far as the reports that have come before me, there is work being done, and it is visible. Now, if you feel you are not satisfied with it to some degree, talk to the task team, because you can talk to them easily. With regard to the tail of your question, I don't think I can deal with that. There is a continuous process of helping poor people in the country. It happens at any given time, as far as I know. At times, people send requests that we are starving, etc. Now, I'm not sure whether that process should stop because there are elections. Why? How are they going to vote hungry? But I don't know how this goes. Now, to ask me to discourage ANC members from doing so, how am I going to do it? How am I going to judge? Must I say, don't give the hungry people food? Me, whilst people are hungry. I think it's an issue you can deal with other political parties, really, because you are all here in Parliament. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Phil Tane, UDM.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I must admit, Honorable President, that I'm somewhat pleased with the response that we've gotten. This has been a burning issue for quite some time. But still, there's over 2,000 people whose money is in the pockets of some people that we do not even know. These are people who go hungry just about every day. Question is, would the government consider pursuing civil action against those that have been identified as being the culprits in this matter? Because it doesn't just end up with what has been taken, the interest that these people are earning on this civil action. At which stage would the government consider taking criminal steps insofar as those that have not yet been refunded their money? At which stage? Because it's been going on for quite a long time. Those are my questions, and I believe they are not new questions, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
You are actually entitled to one supplementary question. The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I thought that the report I've just given indicates what actions are being taken by the task team and what is going to happen with regard to the inspectorate, precisely to deal with the issues you are raising. I would imagine if members of parliament have some concern, the members of task team or the minister in particular is here. I think there could be an exchange to indicate, for an example, what are the views of the members, what they think needs to be done, more than what it is being done. I think that will help a great deal. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Kubisa.
Ngiyabonga somlomo. Mhlonishwa umongameli, sesizwile ukuthi usuyinikezile impendulo ngeinombolo zalabo ababanjwa abenza imkhonyovu. KwaZulu Natal nje emavikini ambala wadlule. Umnyango wezenhlalakahle uthola ukuthi iningi imali eyisibonelelo seingane noma abadala exhashazwayo noma edliwayo ingafiki kubona. Sibefisa ukuthi ke sizwe ukuthi noma inombolo osuyinikezile lukhona nekufanayo kwezinye ifundazwe okufana nalokho nokuthi futhi yini ke esheshayo noma sokhulumela ngecommission engalungisa leso simo ngoba abantu abampofu bagcina bengayitholi ngempela imali yabo. Imali etholakele kwaZulu Natal ukuthi iyadliwa ingafikele entandaneni nakubantu abadala utholakala ukuthi ngama millions amaningi. Hlonishwa mongameli.
Honorable the President.
Somlomo. Bengicabanga ukuthi bese nokho ngizithintile lezi ndawo lunga ehloniphekileyo ukuthi umsebenzi uyenziwa ilesigungu esikhethiweyo. Ngasho futhi ukuthi kukhona asebedlule inkulunganeni asebebatholile noma besekhona abanye abaseyinkulunganeni abasasebenza ukuthi babathole bababambe. Lo mbiko ke bengunika benginika umbiko ombatha izwe lonke hayi ohamba ngesifundazwe. Benginika nje ukuthi ezweni lonke kwenzekani okuxuba ngisho iKwaZulu Natal. Njengoba ke uthi umnyango ufike wathola ukuthi imali zabampofu ziyadliwa kusho khona ukuthi umsebenzi uyaqhubeka ngoba bayathola ukuthi kwenzekani. Yingakho nje sekukhona esithi bazophenya manje ukuthi ngempela bangabathola kanjani ngoba yenzeka ngendlela kusho ukuthi abantu laba abahlakaniphile kakhulu abakwazi ukungena kwi i-account yomuntu bakhipha imali umuntu engazi kanti kwenziwa indlela yokunikeza abantu elula ukuthi imali zisheshe zifike kubona ukunoma babamba ama delays. Izinto ke lezi engicabanga ukuthi kufanele bezibikwe kuminister okuyena owenze lesigungu ukwenzela ukuthi sithole ukuthi zenzeka kanjani lezi zinto zingatholakala kanjani uma sinamacebo noma imbono ebese siyamtshena nokuthi futhi kutholakale phi lokho ukuze afike mathupha khona ayosiza ngoba kufanele ngempela sivimbe ukuthi imali zabantu abalambayo aziye ezigebengwini esingazaziyo. Ngiyabonga somlomo.
The Honorable Tsapa, ANC.
Ndiyabulela kakhulu somlomo ngexesha. Mandibulele kakhulu unxamalala ngoba impendulo ezi ziyabonakalisa uba unobunzulu bolwazi ngezinto ezenzeka kubantu obakhokeleyo nobakhathaleleyo njengoba behleli phaya nje. Kubhlungu ke kodwa mandisho ukuba okrebe bathe qho ukuthatha lo mbele ubani unika abantu abangahluphekanga bawufake kweyabo imilomo babashiye bentyumpa-ntyumpeka kumatyala angumangaliso. Endifuna ukuyiphakamisa yokuba lo gama imali itsaliwe bengadlanga ayakhula namatyala okwenza izikweletu. Naleyo kuba kufumaneke kuba imali yenkedama ithathwa ngabanye abantu nabo abantu abahlala nabo bantu bayazi mongameli uba le nkqubo yenzeka. Olu phenyo lenziwe ngumphathiswa ukuba imali yefosta iyayana kubantwana mandenjenje. Ngaba ke ngoku aba bantu bawufunyanwa uza kubasa kwinkundla zomthetho bagwetywe bangene entolongweni kuphunguke inani lamasela. Isibongo mntamzini ngaba ndiyakuhlupha.
Honorable the President.
Enkosi somlomo. Hayi lungelihle elihloniphekileyo. Xa bebanjiwe baye enkantolo kaloku zigebengezi. Sode zinga enkantolo. Xa bengazise enkantolo kobe badlala kufuneka zibanjwe zitya imali yabantu abalambileyo nempula kalijaca esihluphekayo. Fane babanjwe bendizothi ke ake sicebise umphathiswa simazise ngalokhu ukuthi kwenzeka ntoni ke sibuze futhi ukuthi ngelixesha ke umuntu imali yakhe ityiwe uza kwenza ntoni kuba banamatyala. Ndicinga uba ayikibhekiswe pha umphathiswa ukuthi mhlambi xa kukhona umuntu otholakala njalo ugogo njenamatyala angaba nakhona ukusizelwa na. Yinto le ndicinga uba ifuna uthethwa ilatas team ukuba ingenzeka kanjani. Ndicinga uba umbono omhle lo kubantu abahluphekileyo ake siyise pha nami ndiyayigqithisa pha kumphathiswa ukuthi ndivile ukuthi hayi impula kalijaca senkingeni. Ewe ndiyabulela somlomo.
We now come to the last question on the question paper, which has been asked by the Honorable Kubisa of the NFP, and I call upon the Honorable the President.
Honorable Speaker, the decision not to increase university fees this year left universities with a shortfall of slightly over 2.3 billion rand. After some extensive collaborative work between government and university vice-chancellors, it was decided that government would contribute 83% to cover the shortfall, while universities would cover the remaining 17%. The 83% that government has committed to contribute has been obtained from various sources, including the historically disadvantaged universities, development grant, and from surplus funds from the sector, education, and training authorities. As the Minister of Finance announced in the 2016 budget speech, government has budgeted over 16 billion rand for the higher education sector in order to ensure that access to higher education is extended to as many of our students as possible. One of the decisions that was taken following the meeting in October last year with the university managers and leaders of the Student Representatives Councils was for a commission of inquiry to be appointed to look into the funding of higher education. I have now appointed a commission of inquiry in terms of Section 84(2)(f) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. The commission is chaired by Honorable Justice Johan Arthur Hehe, of a former judge of the Supreme Court of Appeal. Judge Hehe is assisted by Advocate Gregory Ali and Ms. Lian Tabisile Kumalo as commissioners. Although the terms of the commission to do specifically focus on alleged corruption at the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, I am confident that when it looks at the funding of the higher education sector, it will also look at NSFAS. One of the issues the Commission will have to report and make recommendations on is the feasibility of free higher education and training in South Africa. I am confident that these matters will be extensively discussed once the Commission has submitted its report. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Kubisa.
Madam Speaker, education is indeed a basic human right. And of course, this right at the moment cannot be divorced from the fact that most of the students come from very poor families. These families live far below the poverty datum line. And what even compounds the situation at the moment is the sluggish economy of our country. Our country is ailing at the moment. But we hope that the government can even move closer to the concept of free basic education and even higher education. Now, another matter, that is a thorn in the flesh, is the issue of accommodation. Our students now rent in shacks, others in flats. Even the boarding and lodging at for universities is even more expensive than flats. What is it that the government is doing or has done to work with the private sector and the universities to ensure that our students get accommodation?
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Firstly, the issue of free education at the basic level is done, it's being done. There are free fees schools at a lower level. That is being done, addressing the point you are making of the poor households. The reason why the NSFAS has grown in terms of the size has been also to address those students who come from, in the main, poor families at the tertiary level. The issue of the free education, as you raise it, and I've said the Commission will look into that, is one of the points of reference, in terms of reference that they will have to deal with, to say, how do we deal with this question? How free should the education be? Must the child, for an example of a president, get free education when he's earning? Would that not take the space of many people that we don't know, who are poor, who earn nothing. That's why from the ANC policy, the ruling party, from 1955, it clarified the issue of bursaries, that this should help the poor families. Free education, but it is looking at the poorest of the poor and poor families. And that's what we are saying. The results of the commission should help us to clarify those points in terms of, with the meager resources that you have, as you say yourself, that the economy is sluggish, not only in South Africa, globally. It's a global problem, it's not a South African problem only. How do we address the issue of higher education? How do we define it in terms of, if you say free education, how far do you go in terms of freeness? That matter will come, as I said here, that once the commission reports, the matter will be addressed. With regard to the issue of accommodation, government is working hard to address that issue. Why that issue has become an issue all of a sudden? This has come because democracy has opened up the doors of learning, and therefore more numbers of children came. But the infrastructure was not meant to accommodate the size of the population. And that's why we have got a problem, including the number of the universities. That's why we are adding 2 more universities. If we had all the money, we'll be adding more universities. And I'm sure we're not stopping with the 2, because we need to open the space. And if that happens, we must therefore have the accommodation of students. Government is working on that issue very seriously. We want to deal with it as soon as possible. So that is a matter that is uppermost in government's mind, particularly because education is an apex priority of government, of the country. Because this country cannot develop, cannot be a developed country without educated citizens. Therefore, is a main thing that we must deal with. Business, they are also being talked to. What role can they play? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Shengwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Msholos, I put it to you, Honorable President, like I put it to you last year, that the 0% fee increment was a knee-jerk reaction in the absence of a plan. And come January time 2016, we have seen what it is like to be reactive. We've got students who cannot register because of historic debt and they are being turned away. Typical examples of this at TUT Soshangove, where up to even now the institution has shut down those campuses, where in the main is the poorest of the poor that attend there, because they do not have the money to register.
Siyakuphelela isikhathi, buza umbuzo.
Oh, masungijijimeza kangaka somlomo. But rather, Honorable Speaker, the turnaround time for NSFAS to deal with these problems in the main causes the problem. Because if you make an application in the year before and only get a response in April the following year, you should start school and learning in January is a problem. So where is the plan which you spoke about last time? You said imali khona. Imali sikhona. Where's the plan ukusiza abantu abasizakele? Ama students aqoshiwe inyu ama ikhungo ziyavalwa
Ukuxoxa indaba Buhlengwa. Usubuzile ke manje i-follow up question yakho, what is the plan? Comrade President.
Thank you.
Nami sengibiza uComrade.
Awudukile. Iplan ikhona. Angazi noma uke wakhuluma yini nomphathiswa wemfundo ephakeme. Ngoba ukuba ubukhulume nawe bezokutshela ukuthi ama-plan athini. Akhona ama-plan. Ngiyokucebisa nje ukuthi uma wafuna ngempela ungabuzi nje ngoba kufanele kubuzwe, ukusondela lapha eduze kwakhe. Uzibuzele kahle, uzokutshena kahle ukuthi apha ama-plan. Angiwaphethe mina ngoba kuona umsebenzi wami ukwakha indawo zokuhlala kweingane Umsebenzi kaMinister lo nasebenza kanye nabo. Kodwa iplan ikhona uyasebenza. Uma ungaya uzobhema ukholwe. Somlo.
Honorable Posa, follow-up question, ANC.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In the State of the Nation Address 2016, the Honorable President assured the country that the ANC government is working hard at finding long-term solutions to the challenges on funding for post-school education and training. We appreciate the double efforts our government is making in ensuring that poor students get access to higher education, including the commission you, Honorable President, have established to find the best solutions for funding of post-school education and training. I thank you, Honorable President.
Honorable the President.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for that observation. Absolutely correct. We have doubled the effort to ensure that poor students are at school. That's why I said the Minister of Higher Education is working very hard to ensure that we fulfill that objective. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Sheikh Imam, NFP.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. President, I must agree with you that the population is a great challenge. I hope you're not going to suggest we do some family planning. Mr. President, the challenges that our students are facing is aggravated by other role players that might be doing these things for their own benefit, not necessarily the benefits of those students, Mr. President. I think what the students want to know now, because we've had the report in 2012 and it was not implemented, they want to know, finally, how long is this plan going to take to give them free education, if that's what we're going to give them? When is it going to be implemented? Are we going to monitor and evaluate it annually to ensure that we're reaching the different stages to ultimately get to that stage? That is, I think, what they really want to know now. And I do appreciate that there's a commission of inquiry. If you can please advise us when you're expecting some responses from them, when can we implement it, advise the students, get them to be rest assured that, yes, it is now being implemented annually so that they can see there is progress and that it's going to be achievable. Thank you, Mr. President.
Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Member is suggesting that I should join the Commission and participate in planning the job of the Commission and time frames, how far they would work. It's going to be very difficult because I'm having some other jobs to do. What I've said, I've established a commission. The commission is going to sit down, plan its work, put time frames, and let us know. It's not me who must say, these are the time frames standing here in Parliament. I would be telling a wrong thing. So the commission will do that work and tell us how far it will go. When will it be reporting? At times it could have a preliminary report and have a final report. It can have one report. That is what the commission will do. And I thought by saying there's going to be a commission, that was answering your question even before it was asked. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable President, for answering the questions that were posed to you today. We have come to the end of the question paper. Honorable members, I wish to acknowledge the presence in the gallery of a parliamentary delegation led by Honorable Annette King of the New Zealand House of Representatives. Where are they? Maybe they are gone. Are they still here? Huh? You are welcome, Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the New Zealand Parliament. I wish to recognize Honorable Nyami Boy,
No, Speaker, we thought that it was important for us to give support to what Honorable Mulder was raising from the Freedom Front, that what has happened has to go to the rules so that we should not allow people to start undermining the House and do things totally different out of the rules. So we wanted to give our support to the African National Congress.
Thank you, Honorable Boy. Honorable members, this is the second of a number of issues that have been coming for being referred to the Rules Committee to apply its mind in terms of issues that are facing us in the House, which are new and had previously never been provided for in the rules. And so we will also refer that issue that Honorable Mulder has raised with us. Honorable members, that concludes the business for the day, and the House is adjourned happily.
Preparing for victory requires intense effort and teamwork. When you get to it, there is no turning back, because all eyes are on you. When it's action time,